Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and welcome to Readings with Regina. And we are going to continue to talk about probably one of your favorite subjects. You know, I'm being facetious. The slave ship. Look at the title of this presentation, Out of Europe and the Slave Ship. Because remember that the slave ship is what took Europeans into Africa. Very important information for you to know. Now, before I begin, I want to welcome my new subscriber. Hello, hello, hello. I don't remember your name, but I saw that I had a new subscriber, and I am pleased to welcome you here. And I just want to say to everyone, do like this video. It means something when you do that about the algorithm that YouTube uses to do whatever YouTube does. But in any event, I am here to teach you every possible thing that I know about African history and African American history. Yes, and we're going to start with the slave ship. Okay, here we go. Now, on Tuesday, this was the last sentence that I read to you on Tuesday. The noise of the cannon. You see, the cannon was developed. The cannon was developed and placed inside of the slave ship. And the cannon alone was terrifying, the noise of it, when the Africans and all other indigenous people first heard it. Indeed, it was enough. One empire builder explained to induce non-Europeans, that's us and native peoples, to worship Jesus Christ. Next sentence. European rulers would use this revolutionary technology, this new maritime machine, to sail, explore, and master the high seas in order to trade. That would have been nice. To fight, not so nice. To seize new lands, that's horrific. To plunder, terrible. And to build empires. Don't forget that, people. By the way, if ever I say any word that you don't know, okay, wait for the subtitles and look up that word. Now, the subtitles are not always accurate either, but I want to increase your vocabulary. As you hear words that you don't know, look them up. Don't feel that it's too, high mighty or the writer should come down to your level. No, you go up to that writer's level. Remember now, I am reading to you because I want to expand your intellectualism. Very good. Here we go. In so doing, they battled each other. These are the Europeans now. The Europeans battled each other as fiercely as they battled people outside Europe. Let me jump into the present and say this to you as well. Europeans right now are fighting each other. Oh, yes. Ukraine is included. Ukraine is just a proxy for the United States, France, Germany, Poland, Azerbaijan, Denmark. All of these European countries are fighting each other right now, just like they were fighting each other, and they all hate Russia. What does that tell you? Did Russia ever colonize any parts of Africa? Check it out, my friends. All right, here we go. Thanks in large part to the Carrack, that was the predecessor to the slave ship, the galleon, another predecessor to the slave ship, and finally the full-rigged, three-masted, cannon-carrying ship. They established a new capitalist order. They rapidly became masters of the planet, a point that was not lost on the African king Holiday of Bonny, who explained to slave ship captain Hugh Crow, quote, God made you sabi book and make big ship, end of quote. The ship was thus central to a profound interrelated set of economic changes essential to the rise of capitalism, the seizure of new lands, the expropriation of millions of people, and their redeployment in growing market oriented stock market sectors of the economy, the mining of gold and silver, the cultivating of tobacco and sugar, the concomitant rise of long distance commerce, and finally, a planned accumulation of wealth and capital beyond anything the world had ever witnessed. Slowly, fitfully, unevenly, but with an undoubted power, a world market, and an international capitalist system emerged. An international capitalist system emerged. Each phase of the process, from exploration to settlement to production to trade and the construction of a new economic order, required massive fleets of ships and their capacity to transport both expropriated laborers and the new commodities. The Guinea Man, now that's a ship. That's a ship. The Guinea Man was a linchpin of the system. Let me go over again. The Guinea Man. Guinea is a section of Africa. They were so busy capturing, robbing Africa of its people that they even started to call the ships the Guinea Men. They also called money guineas. Now, let me see if I can find it here because I wrote extensively about that in this book, Malcolm X and the Poetics of Aki Madabuti. In that book, I went back in history to trace how we got to the 1960s and why we got to the 1960s. And in doing that research, I came across slave ships that were called Guinea Men. And I also realized they were calling money guineas back in the 16th and 17th century. All right, let me keep going. Where am I? The specific importance of the slave ship was bound up with the other foundational institution of modern slavery, the plantation, a form of economic organization that began in the medieval Mediterranean, spread to the eastern Atlantic islands, the Azores, Madeiras, Canaries, and Cape Verde, and emerged in revolutionary form in the New World, especially Brazil, the Caribbean, North America during the 17th century. The spread of sugar production in the 1650s unleashed a monstrous hunger for labor power. Sugar production. Think about that when you put sugar in your coffee or tea. For the next 2 centuries, ship after ship disgorged its human cargo, originally in many places European indentured servants, and then vastly large numbers of African slaves who were purchased by planters, assembled in large units of production, and forced under close and violent supervision to mass produce commodities for the world market. Indeed, as C.L.R. James wrote of laborers in Saint Domingue, that's modern Haiti, quote, working and living together in gangs of hundreds on the huge sugar factories which covered North Plain, they were closer to a modern proletariat than any group of workers in existence at that time, end of quote. By 1713, the slave plantation had emerged as the most distinctive product of European capitalism, colonialism, and maritime power. Now, in a few words, let me break this down. The enslavement of the African and African man, the African woman, and the African child are the foundation of capitalism in America and in Europe. Consider that, my people. All right. Next book we're going to go to is Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. And you know I love this book because we get an actual story of what happened to an enslaved woman in the 19th century. So here we go. Now, for my new subscriber, let me just say this. Hi, Linda Brett had a pedophile owner. He got her when she was around 12. Okay. Enslavers often pass down enslaved people and their children throughout a family. So Linda Brent is in this family and she's owned by a Dr. Flint. And he has just, God, he's just ruined her life. I won't go back into the whole story of it. You could look at previous episodes, right? But right now, because Linda Brent has refused to allow him to build a cabin for her in the woods so he could rape her whatever time he wanted. She has refused that offer. So he is sending her and her two children into real enslavement on his son's plantation. Here we go. Early the next morning, I left my grandmother's with my grandmother's with my youngest child. My boy was ill, and I left him behind. I had many sad thoughts as the old wagon jolted on. Hitherto, I had suffered alone. Now my little one was to be treated as a slave. As we drew near the great house, I thought of the time when I was formally sent there out of revenge. I wondered for what purpose I was now sent. I could not tell. I resolved to obey orders so far as duty required. But within myself, listen to this one, within myself, I determined to make my stay as short as possible. Mr. Flint, that's our owner, was waiting to receive, oh no, that's the owner's son, Mr. Flint, was waiting to receive us and told me to follow him upstairs to receive orders for the day. My little Ellen was left below in the kitchen. It was a change for her, who had always been so carefully tended. My young master said she might amuse herself in the yard. This was kind of him, since the child was hateful to his sight. My task was to fit up the house for the reception of the bride. In the midst of sheets and tablecloths, towels, drapery, and carpeting, my head was as busy planning as were my fingers with the needle. At noon, I was allowed to go to Ellen. She had sobbed herself to sleep. I heard Mr. Flint say to a neighbor, quote, I've got her down here and I'll soon take the town notions out of her head. My father is partly to blame for her nonsense. He ought to have broke her in long ago. End of quote. What does it mean to be broken in? It means to be beat, raped, and reduced as a woman. It means to be a docile, enslaved person who only takes orders from white people, does what white people tell them to do, never talks back. That's being broken in. And those of you who have been with me, go back and remember Frederick Douglass, how he was sent to the N-word breaker to break him. Now that's what Frederick Douglass told us. Linda Brent, she didn't know Fred. She's telling that same story to be broken in. White people broke in black people. That's how you take an African and make an African into a Negro. And understand this, people. We're not that far from that Negro. When I was a child, when I was a teen, we were Negroes. We were not African American. Remember that? Okay. Where am I? You know, I always get lost. Broke up. Okay. The remark was made within my hearing, and it would have been quite, where am I? And it would have been quite as manly to have made it to my face. See how they use man, manliness, manhood? You dig? Okay. He had said things to my face which might or might not have surprised his neighbor if he had known of them. He was a chip off the old block. I mean, he was like his father, who was a deviant individual. I resolved to give him no cause to accuse me of being too much of a lady so far as work was concerned. I worked day and night with wretchedness before me. When I laid down beside my child, I felt how much easier it would be to see her die than to see her master beat her about. Let me tell you, there were enslaved Black women that killed their children because they didn't want their children to be enslaved. That's how terrible slavery was. Linda Brett is saying the same thing. She looked at her beloved little girl and thought and said, I'd rather see her dead than be a slave. Remember that, my people. Now, I'm going to read this again. I felt how much easier it would be to see her die than to see her master beat her about. Now, this is a child. So these enslavers would beat children, as I daily saw him beat other little ones. Do you hear that, people? This enslaver, Dr. Flint's son, beat children, beat children, beat Black children. Now listen to this part. The spirit of the mothers of these Black children who were beat, the spirit of the mothers was so crushed by the lash. White folks beat us all the time. It was legal to beat Black people. It was legal to beat Black children. The spirit of the mothers was so crushed by the lash that they stood by without courage to remonstrate. How much more must I suffer before I should be, quote, broken in, end of quote, to that degree? Do you look? I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you. What white people have done to the African that was turned into the Negro is gross, barbaric, and savage. I just want you to think about these things, okay? Because they are the making of America. That's how America got its wealth. And that's how white people got that white superiority complex, that they could do anything. You understand? That they could invade other countries. You understand that, people? All right, let me stop myself. I feel a speech coming on. I don't want to do that. This is Readings with Regina. And we're going to go to my girl, Ida B. Wells. All right, here we go. Now, and again, this is especially for my new subscriber. All right, there's been a lynching a lynching of Ida B. Wells's friends, 3 Black businessmen. So people are leaving Memphis. They've had enough. Black people are leaving. Okay, Ida B. Wells is a newspaper writer. Here we go. The daily papers, which had helped to make this trouble by fanning the flames of race prejudice. Let me tell you about the media. This is one of the reasons I do readings with Regina. Don't believe everything you see on regular media. Regular media lies. They give you CIA talking points. And I'm talking about right now. Look at alternative media. Ida is even saying here that the media helped to fan the flames of the lynching, of the killing of her 3 Black men friends who were business owners of a grocery store. Do you know the media at that time, late 19th century, 1890s, wrote that there was gambling in the store, prostitution, drinking, which was an absolute lie. Those 3 men put together their monies, purchased property, and built a prosperous grocery store. White man got jealous, another grocer got jealous, called his friends. A judge said, right on, do it. And they killed these 3 brothers, these 3 prosperous brothers. Yes, the media, she says it, they fan the flames of prejudice. And I just wanted to remind you of how the media turned these industrious Black men into criminals, which was a lie. Here we go. The daily papers, which had helped to make this trouble by fanning the flames of race prejudice, which encouraged, aided, and abetted the lynching, now sought to stop this westward movement. Black people started leaving town. They said, you know what? Hey, I'm not staying here. Yes, and it caused an economic problem in Memphis. Okay, so now the newspaper start printing tales of hardships undergone by those who had already gone west. They kept this up for some time, telling of the starvation and of hostile Indians who made those who had gone not welcome. Hostile Indians? Don't you understand that they had committed a genocide on the Indians, and the Native Americans were still trying to live independently? Okay, many of them were put on reservations, and they gonna say that the hostile Indians were against the Negroes? Liars. Liars. Just look at your family members. Look at me. Look at me. Look at yourself. Africans and Indians made it together. Often, Native Americans would hide enslaved people on the run. Do you understand that, people? But this jive, white, suprematic newspaper was printing, oh, hostile Indians. The hostile Indians didn't like the Blacks. All right, let me put up some of my comments here. Let's see. Titans Coda, none of which is innately, none. There's no innate criminality in any person. Okay? None. Criminals, so-called criminals or outlaws, are made. Even if you look at, I know a speech is coming, I'll get back to the book in a minute, but I gotta say that, look, you even look at bank robber. Why would a man rob a bank? Because he's broke. Because he wants some money. Because he can't pay his bills like he wants to. So he robs a bank. Is that not understandable? Boom. Okay, here's another one. What does it say? Some of the Indians are, yes. Yes. I know some. Yes. Look like me and y'all. All right. What's this other one? Let me get this. East Coast natives were not hot. Yo! Now we talking. That's how I want y'all thinking. But what I want to show you or point out again, gambling, prostitution, drink is not. That's right. But the point is, I love this. I love this. The point is, they weren't doing any of that in the grocery store that them brothers held. I mean, it was a grocery store. You know what I mean? Really. But my major point here is how the media lies. The media lied in the 19th century. The media lied in the 18th century. The media lied in the 17th century. Oh, the media is lying to you in the 21st century. Hello. So here we go. You know I get lost when I get all fired up. Now, where we at? Oh, yeah, hostile Indians. Okay? All right. Honorable I.F. Norris, a former member of the state legislature whose wife was a relative of mine, okay, suggested that I go out to Oklahoma and find out the truth for my newspaper. He had been closing out his business affairs and was now ready to leave with his family. I had a railroad pass. Remember now, she's an investigative journalist. I had a railroad pass to Kansas City, Missouri, and he thought it would be easy to get one to go down to the approaching opening of land in Oklahoma to new settlers. Let me say this again. The opening of land in Oklahoma to new settlers. You know what that means, people? They've killed as many Indians as they possibly could, stole their land, and gave their land to white settlers. White power. Legal white power. Just think about Venezuela. I will talk a little bit more about that as we get to the closure of this program. All right, where am I? Okay. I accepted the suggestion and left Memphis with them. When I got to Kansas City, I told the general passenger agent that I wanted to go down to get the facts for my people so that they would know what to do. He said, "We already got 2 men, one of whom is a preacher getting facts." I said, "Yes, but the folks say these men are in the employ of your road and are being paid to travel over the road." See, she was independent. She was an independent black newspaper. Yo, wouldn't they say the same thing about you? He asked. No, sir. They would believe whatever I told them, I said. Without a word more, he reached up into a pigeonhole of his desk for a pass, signed and stamped it, and gave it to me. That pass enabled me to travel all over Oklahoma, go girl, and return. I spent 3 weeks and visited Guthrie, Oklahoma City, and other points. I saw the rush and opening up of government land to settlers and wrote letters back to the Free Speech every week, telling my readers exactly what I saw and of the chance they had of developing manhood and womanhood. I love how she does this. Manhood and womanhood. See, white people, white enslavers, okay? White supremacist dogs wanted us not to be men and women. That's what they wanted. With the lash, with the lynchings, that was to reduce you from your humanity. That was to make you into a thing with no feelings. But we are human beings. So they did not succeed, but they damn sure tried to. Here we go. I wrote letters back to the Free Speech every week, telling my readers exactly what I saw and of the chance they had of developing manhood and womanhood. These are her words. In this new territory. Do you love? Wait, let me show y'all her picture again. This woman, I'm telling you, where's she at? Here she is. Do you see her? Honor her. Know her story. Okay? Isn't that a gorgeous hairstyle? I just love Ida B. But just as I love Ida B, I love this sister. That's my Panther sister, Asada. 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 Here we go. All right, here we go. I got another comment. Let me bring that up. Colonial occupiers were given land to take. Yes. And check it. You know how you have to buy a house or rent an apartment or whatever? Imagine you just get some land after you have robbed, stole, killed, and slaughtered Native American men, women, and children. Okay? Now, how did they do that? Superior weaponry, that's it. Superior weaponry. White people, Europeans were good at making cannons and guns, rapidly firing guns. With that weaponry, you could defeat a bow and arrow. All right, let me get to Asada. She's in jail now. And, oh, this is wonderful. Wait a minute, did I read that? Yes, I did. Asada, first of all, imagine what the newspapers are writing about my Black Panther sister, Asada. Okay? Who was shot. All they talked about, a cop was shot. Well, Asada was shot too. And let me just show you. The way she was shot, you could see her hands were up. Now, the newspaper tried to say, and the CIA, that she was the mother hen of the Black Liberation Army, that she was just such a criminal. That's what contemporary newspapers in the 70s wrote about Asada. So she knew she had to get her message out to her people. So this is what she did. I made the tape of To My People on July 4th, 1973. She was probably thinking about Frederick Douglass's July 4th speech as well. And it was broadcast on many radio stations. Here is what I said. Black brothers, Black sisters, I want you to know that I love you. That's what we were taught in the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And I hope that somewhere in your heart, you have love for me. My name is Asada Shakur, slave name Joanne Chesimard, and I am a revolutionary, a Black revolutionary. By that, I mean that I have declared war on all forces that have raped our women, castrated our men, and kept our babies empty-bellied. I have declared war on the rich who prosper on our poverty, the politicians who lie to us with smiling faces, and all the mindless, heartless robots who protect them and their property. I am a Black revolutionary, and as such, I am a victim of all the wrath, hatred, and slander that America is capable of. Like all other Black revolutionaries, America is trying to lynch me. Lynch me. Didn't we just hear from Ida B. Wells? Wasn't that the 19th century? Asada talk about the 20th century lynching. Make those connections, people. I am a Black revolutionary woman. Power. And because of this, I have been charged with and accused of every alleged crime in which a woman was believed to have participated. The alleged crimes in which only men were supposedly involved. I have been accused of planning. They have plastered pictures allegedly to be me in post offices, airports, hotels, police cars, subways, banks, television, and newspapers. They have offered over $50,000 in rewards for my capture, and they have issued orders to shoot on sight and shoot to kill. I'm going to read more of that next week when we get, Lord have mercy. I have got to talk about this. Yes. Newspapers lied on her. They put all kinds of pictures of black women up and said, this is Assata Shakur, wanted, okay? Dead or alive, wanted, the most dangerous woman. Look at this baby girl. Look, wait, let me bring her picture up again. Look at her. That's Assata. They acted like members of the Black Panther Party, members of the Black Liberation Army. What? Criminals. Really? Really? And all we did was stand up for our people? Okay? All right? We made Black beautiful. We listened to Malcolm X. It was the ballad or the bullet. We were there under this good brother. Let me show you him. That's the Huey some of us know. Yes, that's Huey. But this is also Huey, the student, the studier, okay, of history. Our history has been and is full of inaccuracies. They have tried to downplay what they did to us for over 300 centuries. Well, no, not centuries, but 300 years. Y'all get my drift. But anyway, that's why Brother Huey Newton and Brother Bobby Seale put together the Black Panther Party for self-defense. I heard their call, and I came. So here we go. This is our thumbnail for today. How Europeans became white Americans and Africans Negroes. Now you see my book, In Back of God's Eye? That's my novel. I want y'all to get it. I want y'all to get it so we can talk about it offline, not in readings with Regina. But I just wanted to show you that. And I got another comment. Let me bring that up. Wait a minute. Where is it? Y'all know I'm still learning this stuff. Okay. Oh, Lord, this is the same day when the most dangerous part. Yo! Yes. Thank you, Titan. All right. Full of wait a minute. I don't think I showed this. Let me see this one. The current, full of folks. Yes. Yes. All right. Now, before I sign off, because I am going to sign off, I want you all to understand. Now, this is going to be a harsh statement. I've made it before. I'm going to make it again. White people love war. The rich love war. Their children don't go to war. No, it's working class Black people, poor whites, working class white. They go to war. So these white people, war after war after war after war. What in the hell are ships? Here we go with the ship. Modern day ships outside of Iran. Remember Iraq? Oh, weapons of mass destruction. They lie. All right, my brothers and sisters. It has been so good to be with you. And I'm so happy that you're here. Share my videos. Teach from my videos. Teach your children, your grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. We must know our history. And nobody is going to teach our history but ourselves. That includes me, who was taught to love you with the depth that Assata loved you. Love you with the depth that Bobby Seale and Huey Newton loved you. All right? I'll see you next Tuesday. Remember, I pray for you. So if good things are happening to you, thank me in part. All right. I pray for you every night and every day. And I will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place. Bye-bye.